Hey, I'm here with Graham Elwood, Robert Yasabura, Hank Thompson, and Steph Zamorano. Graham, you have a movie out. Tell people about it.
Earbuds, the podcasting documentary. It's the first ever documentary about this awesome podcast community that we were all a part of. We raised $140,000 on Kickstarter, so it was crowdfunded. The fans paid for it. We interviewed people all over America and Australia and Japan, and you get to see not only, you big name podcasters like Chris Hardwick and Aisha Tyler and stuff like that, you also get to hear from the fans, and we heard amazing stuff, which I'm sure you've heard from a guy that's done a podcast for a while, Jimmy, like, hey, they came on and interviewed and said, it got me through a tough time. I was suffering from depression, or I was battling cancer, or I was, mental illness. And it was amazing journey to make the film. And I want the movie to do two things. We've taken it to a bunch of festivals, and now it's for sale. And what's happened is podcast fans have come and watched it, and they've gone, wow, I didn't know I was going to cry and have this really cool emotional response. And then all the people who are like, I don't know what a podcast is, and now I want in. How do I do this?
Really? I have to see this movie. I haven't seen it yet. I know it's available.
It's available at comedyfilmnerds.com, Jimmy.
Comedy Film Nerds. We'll put a link underneath.
Yes.
And tell me, what else you want to tell me about it?
It's going to show what it focuses mainly, because these are who I am and who my friends are. It's mainly a lot of LA comedians in the podcast community that kind of started, 6-7 years ago, and how we all sort of were on each other's shows, and then the community that formed around it. And it focuses on a little bit the Los Angeles Podcast Festival that I co-produced with Dave Anthony and Chris Mancini, and how we created that festival for everybody to come together under one roof, because you listen to a podcast when you're alone typically. And then people have become friends, they would talk online. Oh, I like this show and that show. And then they would meet. And now this whole world has been created, and this film has taken me. I was just in Romania last month for a film festival with this movie, and I was in Napa Valley. I met all these other amazing filmmakers.
It's 5 o'clock.
Did you see Nadia Comaneci when you were in Romania?
No, I missed Nadia. No, I think she was on the other side.
Good-looking woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She can do the splits.
Yes, she can.
Everybody check out Earbuds, the podcast movie.
Podcast documentary. It's a documentary.
I keep saying it wrong.
It is a movie, but specifically it's a documentary. That's the genre.
Okay, Graham Elwood, check it out.
We always said that, we'll go to the ends of the earth to meet the podcast fans, and look around.
We did.
This is the end of
pretty
the
much.
earth. This is it.
Oh my God, I'm crying.
You okay?
What would a guy that works at the U.S. Capitol, a gymnastics coach, a drill instructor, a Japanese housewife, and an Australian miner in the outback, what in the hell could they possibly have in common? And it's podcasting. Because it's the podcast fan is a very tech-savvy person right now, because it's 80% of the population doesn't even know what it is.
Podcast.
So when you go to cities...
It's a long MP3.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
It's changed the dialogue between fans and comedians. You can't do stand-up anymore. You have to be honest. It's insane. It's really changed the dialogue, and you can't talk shit about anyone anymore. Holy fuck.
I mean, podcasts are this kind of audio representation of the internet, which is that whatever you're into, there's probably somebody talking about it right now. So if you like regurgitating food into other people's mouths, like a bird, and then I'm sure that there's a podcast.
When I'm racing, and for me, listening, just blocking the world out, listening to someone else have a conversation, or listen to something fun going on.
I think every comedian, or everybody, especially comedians, because we perform, but you hope the vehicle that brings you to the public matches who you are. And there's no doubt that the audience that comes out to see you because of your podcast, they're perfect.
We realized pretty quickly, oh, this is a thing. This is something's happening, and it wasn't some other company or some other thing we were chasing. It's just let's just do something that we enjoy doing.
Just from plugging this microphone into a laptop, we have friends all over the world.
We were making a documentary about crazy people who talked into microphones for free and pretended they had their own radio shows. It was a time of mass delusion. You see, these people were doing something that they ordinarily would have aspired to get paid to do.